Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's an exciting day for Cowboy football. It certainly has been a unique year, and this recruiting class has really been a unique experience for both the recruits and us coaches. The NCAA changed some of the protocols. We were not able to leave campus. Student athletes were not able to interact with us as coaches on campus. We made sure that we stayed according to the rules. And so a lot of what we typically do in the recruiting process, we're a big senior evaluation process. And so this year was quite unique from the standpoint our coaches were not able to go out. I typically am out almost every Friday night. And then also the recruits were not able to come on campus. And a lot of times one of the best recruiting tools we have is our game day experience. And so it was a year unlike any other year that I've ever experienced. But nonetheless, we're convinced we have an excellent recruiting class here. You're going to notice that the footprint of the recruiting looks a little different than what we have normally done. And I'll go through some of the reasons why on that. Number one, being that we're a big senior evaluation, we looked at areas of the country where they were playing high school football, and then we were able to evaluate that and evaluate that tape. And so what did occur, some schools were able to start right away. Some high schools had a delay. We were not able to go to summer camps, and so much of it had to be done through referrals through the high school coaches and then the videotape of the guys who played. And so you're going to see maybe much more of a presence in the areas where they were playing high school football. You're going to see a lot less California recruits that we signed. We signed one, and that has to do with just the number of games that we were able to watch. You're going to see more of a presence of high school players from the state of Texas. We believe Texas is an emerging area for us. It's been a good area for us. And what we'll continue to do is continue to recruit that. But a lot of it had to do with the fact that they were playing high school football and we could evaluate that area. So we're certainly excited about it. I'm going to make a couple overarching comments, which I already have. And then I'm going to have Ian come up, who spearheads our recruiting office. And then I'll pop back on and close out any questions that anybody might have. So I want you to know we feel like we addressed a lot of our needs. We still have maybe a couple more spots. We're going to save that for the second signing date. And we signed 16 players, and then we have one guy that is going to be a preferred walk-on. So there's going to be 17 guys that we'll talk about today. They come from different parts of the country, but as I said earlier, a majority of them are coming from areas that they play high school football. So at this time, I'm going to bring Ian up. He's going to make some comments on each one of these fellows. I'll come back on the call to answer any other questions that you may have. So at this time, Ian, why don't you come up?
All right, so we will go ahead and get started with Jordan Vaughn. He's a running back out of Manville, Texas. So Jordan was a guy we had targeted pretty early on. We had offered him based off his junior film. A large part of that is we felt he was what we wanted in a student athlete. He fits the Wyoming profile. He's got a focus to win a Mountain West championship, and he's also a high academic kid. He's looking to go into engineering, something he's pretty passionate about. When you look at his film, obviously you can see he's got good size, he's a big guy, typically what we kind of look for in a running back. He's physical, he runs very well for that size, and then he's also got the contact balance and the elusiveness to break tackles and force people to miss. So we feel like he does have a high upside as well. He was a defensive player early on, still growing as a running back, and I know we're really excited to get him. So moving on to wide receiver, we got Jalen Sargent from Logan High School in Utah. Again, this is a guy, his coach actually reached out to us after his junior year, told us this is the guy we need to look at. Did that, wanted to see his senior season, just typical of what we do. The intriguing thing about Jalen is that every game he got better and better and better. He played both sides of the ball. He was aggressive, fast, explosive, got good ball skills, as you can see. Somebody we really wanted as the season went on. plays hard, great academics. He's got quite the offer list. So we were excited about him, like the fit for our program. Moving to tight end, we got John Michael Gillenborg from Rockhurst High School in Missouri. This guy, he's a little bit of a different story. He's a multi-sport athlete. This was his first year playing football, and you're going to have limited film on him. Unfortunately, he got hurt a few games in and then missed the rest of the senior year. But we saw enough. We liked what we saw with his athleticism, length, and his size, ability to run, and ball skills and limited sample size to go ahead and move forward with an offer. You know, we were able to do a lot of vetting. Coach Bowl has a great relationship with Coach Donahoe, the head coach there. So we felt great about his fit within this program, and fortunately, we feel lucky that Gillenborg chose us. Moving to offensive line, we got Jack Walsh, offensive guard from Fremd High School in Illinois. So this guy is a legacy. His father played here. Another guy we identified off of junior film, a guy Coach Miller had targeted pretty early on. Unfortunately, he has not been able to play his senior year, so what we relied on was a lot of his junior video and then also a workout video that he had put together, and then Coach Miller had evaluated and really came away impressed with. You know, again, you like the fact that he's a legacy here. He kind of understands what the program is about. He's been here, came out on his own with his dad and family, saw everything we're about, and he's everything you want in an interior offensive lineman. He's got a nasty side. He's physical. He's aggressive. So we're happy to have Jack in that offensive line room. Staying with offensive line, we got Caden Barnett. He's an offensive tackle from Northwest High School in Texas. Again, another guy we identified early on as a junior, made the offer. Kind of monitored him through his senior year as well. Again, one of these things you like to see, he got progressively better each and every single game. Again, tough, physical, aggressive, all those things you like to see. He's got great size. Brings a lot of value this year in a year where you have limited numbers. He's going to be able to play offensive tackle. That's where we're going to start him, and he might, you know, if numbers get in a pinch, play some offensive guard as well. So he has versatility to him, which is pretty impactful in this year. So Thomas Jenkins did a great job getting him set up on a virtual visit as well as with a lot of these guys. And shortly after that, he committed to become Cowboy. Switching to defense here, we got Micah Young, who's a defensive end from Southside High School in Texas. Micah's a guy we knew about as a junior, very interested in him, wanted to see senior year. Again, you're going to hear me say that a lot. There's a lot to like about the way this guy plays. He plays with a lot of energy, a lot of passion for the game. He's aggressive, pursues, he's physical, explosive. All those good things you like to see in a defensive end, we're going to recruit. Great effort. Again, he's a multi-sport athlete. He's done wrestling in the past, and he's going to fit well into our program and really into that defensive end room to kind of keep the standard of play there that we've had the last several years. Up next, we got Tice Westland. He's a defensive end from Pleasanton High School in Nebraska. Again, he's another multi-sport athlete we feel has a big upside. He's got coming from an 8-man program, and this guy plays just about every position on the field. I don't know if there was a position I did not see him at this year. So when you look at his length, you look at his movement skills, and you kind of combine that with our strength program, our nutrition, and then just the intangibles that he presents, you feel like he's got a large upside and a high ceiling. So we look forward to getting Tice here, get him in our program, and watch him develop. Sliding into defensive tackle here, we have J.J. Uphold from Garces Memorial High School in California. Another guy we believe has a high upside. Again, he's a multi-sport athlete. He was originally a basketball player, saw himself as a basketball player. The coach contacted us, asked us to take a look at this guy, and kind of as we went through the vetting process, Coach Callus did a great job getting to know JJ. Knew this is a guy we really wanted. You can see on film, he's long, he's athletic, plays on both sides of the ball. Movement skills for a guy hit with his length and size is really impressive. Again, he hasn't been able to play his senior year, unfortunately. I know we look forward to seeing him whenever that does happen. But he has everything you kind of want, and we look forward to getting him here in the fall. Up next, we have Will Evans from C.E. King High School in Texas. So Will's another guy we knew about during his junior year, wanted to see how he developed physically. He added, I believe, about 25, 30 pounds to his frame. really like how he played this year. He's athletic, he's got good quickness, change of direction, he's tough, physical. There was actually a game that he played with food poisoning, and he was vomiting essentially every other play. And so I think that says something about the young man, that he stayed in there. It says what kind of teammate he is and how much of a passion he has for the game, that he kind of played through those circumstances. Moving to linebacker, we have Sam Scott from Scott Catholic High School in Nebraska. Another guy that we knew about junior year, wanted to see senior video on him. Loved the fit with our program. Coach Bull's really close with the head coach there, Coach Turman. So while you were doing the vetting, you got a real good feel of what kind of character Sam was, how his fit would be, and we felt really good about that moving forward. When you look at the tape, he's all the things you want in a linebacker. He's physical, aggressive, he's smart, and the fact that he also plays running back, you really like that, because you get to see some of the stuff that's going to translate over to running back or to linebacker as a running back. So excited to have Sam. Look forward to getting him here. All right, so we'll go to Tommy McAvoy now. He's a linebacker from Clarkson Lee High School in Nebraska. So this guy is going to be a walk-on here. Unfortunately, he's run into some tough luck. He missed his junior year due to an injury. Got to play in a few games his senior year, and then he missed the rest of his senior year due to an injury. But when you look at the video that's out there, it's really impressive. He's athletic. He's a competitive kid. He's aggressive. Again, all the things you like to see and that traditionally fit well with our program. So we look forward to getting him here, and we feel he's a more than capable player and has all the intangibles to meet those expectations. All right, moving to Tommy Rubaleski. He's a linebacker safety from St. Paul High School in Nebraska. So again, another multi-sport athlete who has developed very late in his high school career. Between his junior and senior year, he grew about 3 inches, put on 15, 16 pounds. And that's kind of when we started to identify him through his senior year. Feel very good about his fit within our program. He's a ball player, and it was pretty apparent early on that he just wants to play ball. That's what he cares about. We had kind of talked to him about, we're going to recruit you as a safety. You might grow into a linebacker. We'll see. We're going to get you in the program, let you develop. You have tools to succeed. And he's like, I don't care where you put me. I'm just here to play ball. You kind of like that mindset. Moving on to corner, we got Javon Marsh from Marist High School in Illinois. Javon was the first commitment to this class, so he kind of kicked it off for us. Again, multi-sport athlete, you're going to hear that a lot. Has legit speed. He's a 10.7 100-meter track time, and once you kind of start dipping below 11, you're really moving at that point. Again, we relied heavily on his junior film and kind of the character vetting process early on, since he has not been able to play yet. I know we look forward to seeing him out there. But he's athletic, he's tough, he has good ball skills. There's going to be a lot that he can bring to our secondary. I know Coach Lavelle is really excited about him. Feels he can do a lot in the back end besides just playing corner, so maybe able to move him around as need be. Staying with corner, we have Zaire Jackson from Valor Christian High School in Colorado. Again, Zaire is another guy we identified off of junior film. Really liked how he played. He was aggressive, very athletic, explosive, and he was a guy that doesn't just stand outside the pile. He gets in there even if the play is dead. He wants to be in that pile. A lot of those traits that you like to see. Fortunately, Zaire was actually one of the few guys that were able to make it to campus before everything was shut down. So he was able to see what we were about. Coach Boyd and Coach English did a great job recruiting Zaire, and I know we're excited to have him add another guy who's got some versatility to that back end. Next up, we got Colby Taylor, a cornerback from Pasadena Memorial High School in Texas. Another guy we knew about from his junior year. He's long, he's lean. Liked a lot of what you saw, but just wanted to see how he continued to develop from his junior to senior year. And you watch the senior tape, you could tell he was more explosive, he was faster, maintained his athleticism, he was aggressive. Got a great story when we set up a virtual visit with him. He was late actually hopping on the Zoom call because he was at the dentist, and he had hit somebody during a football game and chipped his front tooth because he didn't have his mouth guard in. And so he was, the whole time he spent looking at his tooth in the Zoom call. Pretty funny, but kind of like those kind of guys. He's going to put it out there for the team. We're excited to get him here. Next up, we got Andrew Johnson, a safety from Cheyenne Central High School in Wyoming. Again, another multi-sport athlete. You're going to hear me say that a lot. He's a guy we really wanted to get a good look at his senior year. He impressed. He was really athletic, competitive, played both sides of the ball, got good ball skills when you see him play receiver. Does a lot of the things we want. He's smart, so you know he's going to be good in the back end of that secondary as a safety. Coach Moore did a great job recruiting him. Coach Salvell did a great job as well. So I know we look forward to getting Andrew here and seeing what he's about in this fall. All right. Last but not least, we have Rook Brown. He's a safety from Salado High School in Texas. Again, we had known about Rook off his junior tape. Really liked what we saw. Wanted to keep gathering information on him, keep seeing his senior video. A lot of his junior stuff was at running back, so he's a little bit like Andrew Wingard in that regard. Played much more safety his senior year, and he kind of plays it the way I think a Wyoming Cowboy would. I mean, he's aggressive. He pursues heavily. He'll hit. When he tries to hit you and tackle you, he tries to run through you. He's not a guy just trying to get you on the ground. He wants to make you feel it. So I think that's going to fit very well in that room and within this program. So with that, I will pass it back to Coach Bull here.
Well, okay, I think Ian did a great job of explaining it, and it's been enjoyable for me to work with Ian over the last couple of years. His knowledge of how our program works and what we're really trying to do. He's taken the lead in recruiting, and so did a great job of going through a lot of these guys. Just to give you an idea, the areas that we did talk about, we recruited Chicago. We mentioned some of the high schools there. We also, in Texas, mainly it was Houston, the metro area of Dallas-Fort Worth. We are into Central Texas a little bit as well. And then certainly, we talked about the Kansas City area. So those are kind of the general areas. I know we mentioned some of the high schools. But at this time, I see some guys that are on the call here, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. So I think, Michael, you're the first one to raise your hand.
I'm curious with the virtual visit sort of thing. I know that so much of how you sell a program is being here and getting an experience and culture. Was there sort of a blank template that you had for these virtual visits, or did each kid have their own sort of thing? And how do you sell culture through a FaceTime call?
Well, you know what, I really want to credit our recruiting office simply because they looked at the elements within our program, our campus, within our football facilities, and then they integrated a lot of the things that we were able to do. We were able to have some of our players on a call to be able to answer some calls. And so what we did, I thought we really did a great job of at least showing what we're about, and we were very transparent, and I really thought while it is not as good as the real deal, I think it was as close as what it could have been. And I think a lot of that has to do with we were given a situation. I thought Ian and that group and the assistant coaches had done a phenomenal job bringing out the best with the pictures and walking around, and I'm not an IT savvy guy, even got involved some as well. And so we really, I thought, did a nice job of bringing those things through. Was it the same as what it would have been here? No, but I thought the next best thing. Yeah, Cody.
I know you said you went to some states because they were actually playing, but you didn't go to Texas a lot early on in your tenure in Laramie, but this, I believe, makes 10 Texas kids in the last couple of years. What do you like about those athletes, and what changed, I guess, about that state for you when it came to recruiting here?
Well, I had really cut my teeth as a young coach recruiting Texas, and the previous staff had tons of attritions, and so as a result of that, I had some personal resistance, and some of our staff members were the ones that really actually kind of talked me into going back down there, not me, but us, to go back down there. Once we were down there, I think what's really been important for us to do, Cody, is find the right guy, find the right makeup, and then to re-engage with some of the relationships that we've had in the past. Certainly Mike Grant had recruited Texas for a lot of years as well. And so we were well received, and each year, our name is and our brand has been out there a little bit more. And so we're well pleased with the guys that we have. So I think there was a two-prong approach. One, we've emphasized Texas a little bit more. And then two, this year, the fact that they were playing high school football, and it's good high school football, that we were able to get senior evals in some of these other areas we weren't. To say that we'll sign this many guys from Texas every year, I don't know if we'll do that, but this has been a good year for us. Yeah, Davis, go ahead.
Craig, what did you think about the split? You signed more defensive players. Was that more of an emphasis on that side of the ball?
Yeah, a little bit. Each year you look at how many guys that you lose. Then the other thing you also look at with the NCAA basically saying every player on your team is going to have another year. That changed some of our needs that we had, and then you also start to look at who's the next best available player. So a little bit of a combination of all three. Yes, Tracy.
I know you like to look for quarterbacks. Did you feel you have enough quarterbacks now, or was it kind of like a couple years ago when you wound up getting the quarterback late that you weren't able to come up with a guy you wanted?
What we were not going to do, Tracy, was sign a quarterback just because we needed to sign a quarterback. He was going to need to fit in to what we felt like would be worth the scholarship. And so as a result, with Sean's number of years, with Levi's number of years, and then we have Gavin, and then we have Hank. We felt pretty good about our depth, but we'll see about adding another one potentially here. And so we did not feel compelled to just sign somebody. They didn't fit our needs. Michael?
You always talk about the importance of keeping in-state guys in state. And Andrew Johnson obviously had a really nice year for Central. What was it that you liked about him, and how do you keep, how important was it to keep one of the top in-state football players at the University of Wyoming?
Well, it's critical. When we first got here, that's what we said we were going to do. Wyoming was going to be the very first place that we looked for players and develop a rapport with high school coaches. Shannon Moore has spent time with high school coaches in the state of Wyoming. We culled through all the guys, and we had a chance to watch Andrew on tape. And as Ian said, he was a multi-sport player. He's a really aggressive guy who was very competitive. His tape was very compelling, and we felt like we were really excited about offering him a scholarship, and it didn't take him too long to give us a verbal commitment. He's always wanted to play at the University of Wyoming and play for the University of Wyoming. I think, Davis, you're up next.
Craig, with some of these seniors coming back, how many more scholarships do you have for this class, and how many more do you anticipate signing?
Well, it's a little bit of a moving target. I think we're within the goalpost right now when I say that. There's some slack that we have. Now, the NCAA has capped everything at 25, but we can only have 85 guys, excluding potential seniors. And so there's a bit of a moving target, and we wanted to make sure that we're really happy with where we're at. We wanted to have a couple more scholarships to go out the second signing period, but I don't think you're going to see us go up to 25. I think you'll see us increase some, but not a whole lot more. I know that's a vague answer, Davis, but that's the best I can do with a lot of the things that are coming out.
So the seniors that are coming back don't count against your 85 cap?
That's correct. That's correct. Mm-hmm. Yes, Cody.
Craig, Colorado's been so important to this program throughout the years. One guy out of Denver, is that concerning? Is that because they started late? Is there a reason there's only one guy out of that state?
Well, there's only one guy that we felt like was above the line that was bought in. Coach English has got a great relationship down there, and some years we have not signed as many. You know, there's some years that we've done a great number of scholarships. This year it just didn't reach that threshold, and as a result of that, the guy we got, Zaire, we're really excited about. And so we felt like it was important not to dip below a line on our evaluation. And then on the other thing that complicated things, you know, Colorado wasn't playing, then they were potentially going to play, then they weren't going to play, then they played. They flip-flopped about 4 or 5 times, and so as a result of that, we started to recruit some other areas initially. Yes, Michael.
I'm curious with JJ. He's obviously the only California guy that they haven't been able to play this year so far. What made you comfortable extending an offer to him?
Well, a lot of it was his compelling junior tape, and then we saw the size that he had gained. We were able to, you know, gather quite a bit of information from his high school, even though we weren't able to leave campus. And so we felt comfortable with his competitive spirit. We felt like the trajectory and the arrow for him was moving up. And so he was somebody we extended an offer to by vetting him that way. Certainly was unique. The Illinois guys were in the same boat. Didn't do it a lot, but we offered some and signed some who did not play this year, and JJ's one of them. Yes, Davis.
You called defensive tackle a significant concern. You signed one. Do you look to add more in February? And what are your biggest needs left?
You know, we were concerned about that, and I would say that there's a likelihood that we'll continue to recruit that spot, but it's got to be somebody that fits in our needs. And you know, there's always an option that we can move a couple other guys, but that's certainly an area of concern, and that's high on our priority list. Cody?
Might sound crazy, but is it hard to keep standards in a year like this, Craig, when you are seeing these kids over Zoom and you can't get to know them as well as you want to? Or how important is it to keep those standards?
That's critical. And this year, as I said by the call the other day, I think you could maybe sense some of my frustration, but I'm not the Lone Ranger here. I think a lot of coaches are frustrated, and particularly how we recruit, Cody. I mean, we do a lot of things the old-fashioned way, and so we had to adjust. And so it was important for us to get the clear evaluation, to do as much character assessment as we could via telephone or Zoom, and then also be really transparent. I thought Ian and the recruiting guys did a great job as far as this is the type of guy, this is our Wyoming profile, and for us not to veer off that. So the proof's going to be in the pudding in a couple of years, but we feel like we really did a good job with these fellows. Davis.
Right, with this one-time transfer exemption that looks like it's coming, do you just expect this to be free agency in college football?
Oh, you know what? There's a lot of concern, particularly I have. But I do know that, you know, this is going to be voted by the council in January, and all indications are that that's going to be a resolution that passes. We'll adapt as we go. I think a lot of coaches have deep concerns about it. We don't know if it's the best thing for college football, but that's our coach's perspective, and we'll adapt as we go. Okay, guys, can you think any other questions that anybody may have out there? Kevin, you have a question.
Coach, I'm really intrigued by Westland from 8-man football. We've had some really good players play 8-man football in the past. They're always extremely aggressive. What did you like about him?
Well, a lot of times, unless you really kind of know the territory, you may minimize the athleticism and the competitive nature of an 8-man player. And just because these young fellows are at smaller schools where they're playing 8-man football does not mean that some of them can't be Division I football players. Very first thing that we look at is their athleticism, their size, their speed, their competitive nature, and then what kind of character they bring. And one of the things that has helped us is our experience recruiting some smaller town guys through the years, and you try to project. And unless you have really spent a lot of years recruiting those smaller towns where you see the high school, maybe they have one little grandstand and a lot of pickups. And, I even saw one game where they had a tractor pulling in some people behind a wagon, and that's how they tailgated. Now, those are soft spots in my heart, and I think those guys fit in well with the Wyoming culture.
Agreed.
I see some smiles out there, so, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, you love it. Okay, I think you need to shave, by the way. Just because we're in COVID doesn't mean you're starting to slack out there. Cody's always been like one of those guys. All the rest of these guys are good-looking guys, including Tracy. Okay, hey, I want to say thanks, guys. Always appreciate your coverage, and this is going to be a heck of a recruiting class. Want to once again acknowledge Ian. Boy, what a great job, and you can see how thorough he was when he went through each one of these guys. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you soon.